Hello, welcome to Subjective Insights. Today I'm going to talk about marginal tax rates. Much more exciting than it sounds, okay? The kind of emotional oomph behind what I'm going to say about marginal tax rates is a realization I had a while ago that most kind of working class people who speak in favour of conservatism, like that's represented by the Tories, and of capitalism, and are against tax and against the state, they are actually arguing in favour of things that are against their best interests. So, this marginal tax rate, you've got Cortez in America proposing it, Corbyn over here has been proposing it. Essentially, a marginal tax rate is it gives a cap to how much can be earned. Then above that cap, the tax rate comes into force. So say you have a marginal tax rate of 90%. It means whatever's after that cap is taxed at 90% of the income. Like Cortez, I think she's proposing a kind of an upper cap on the earnings that somebody can have before the marginal tax rate comes into effect of something in the order of a couple of millions per year. I mean, what you could, the reason why a marginal tax rate is good is because at any given moment in time there is a finite supply of money, right? And money is essentially like an individual unit of money is like a ticket that gives you access to the products of society, you know, what society produces. So essentially, at any moment in time, there is a finite circulation, there's a finite amount of these tickets of money in circulation. So and you could kind of, as a good kind of allegory to understand why the marginal tax rate is good, you could imagine the money being like chess pieces, and to simplify matters, just the two opponents across the board, right? So if there is no marginal tax rate, if people can just keep earning money as much as they want, and by earnings there is included things like profit and like tax, not tax, money made through investments in stocks and shares. But so you have these two people playing chess, and they're both allowed to accumulate as many pieces as they want, right? But there is a limit to how many pieces can be accumulated. It would be 32, you know, because there's 16 pieces on each side. And so that's a finite amount of pieces in circulation. And now the intention is to have a good game of chess, a good fair game of chess, right? And if you allow them to accumulate as they will, then inevitably there will be an imbalance. One side will have more pieces than the other. And that very imbalance is what rigs the game in favour of the person with more pieces. So say if you were the ombudsman, the referee of a game of chess, and it had that law in it, or it had that capacity for people to just accumulate pieces, then you might put in a further law to ensure fair gameplay. And that's essentially what taxes should act as. That's what's meant by the term progressive tax policies. And so what this marginal tax rate will do for a lot of people is it will incentivize high earners to not earn so much. But that's not a bad thing, because then it will free up all that money for other people to earn or to use. I mean, by having wealth focused in such a small number of hands, this causes the prices of commodities to go up in a way that they wouldn't if wealth was more fairly distributed. In that you'll have commodities being marketed towards the very wealthy, and then you have the affordability of lifestyles being like much greater than they would be if there wasn't such a disproportion. Say if instead of there being a couple of people who have hundreds of billions of pounds, and then the rest of the people kind of maybe have $1 million or no savings at all, then the couple of people with like billions and billions of pounds, they will function as what a kind of far out piece of data does in a statistical chart. So you have it starts where charts where they try and give you averages over a specific range of data set, or over a data set, and sometimes there can be a single point of data which is far outside the norm, and that can skew how the chart looks. Where was I going with that? Yeah, and so these very, very wealthy people, they skew the kind of supply and demand that's going on in creating prices. I think a marginal tax rate should be targeted towards employers to give a cap to how much an employer can profit. And what this would then incentivize the employer to do, instead of earning more profit for himself and having like 90% of it taken away, he would increase the wages of his employees, because that would benefit him more than just giving it in taxes. I mean, taxes do benefit the employer too. They provide roads and schools and all the things that employers take advantage of but don't put anything into. And the crazy thing is, all these people that speak against the marginal tax rate, they very rarely have any comprehension of monetary policy, or macroeconomics, or any of those kind of things. But the most baffling thing of all is that not a single person I have spoken to who is against the marginal tax rate would be affected if it was put in place. None of them are high enough earners to be affected by it. So this is just a case of the slave arguing in favour of his master, which means he is thick as shit. Goodbye.